During my childhood, I lived in a closely knit farming community deep in the heart of the country in Nebraska, the type of place where you're up to your forehead in corn. Everything was pretty routine and mundane, until one day we found this small red farmhouse a little less than 4 miles out. Nobody knew who lived there, and we never saw anybody going in or out. It was just kind of there, and after a while, we all just accepted it as part of the landscape. That is, until one of the kids went missing. We searched up and down the country for him, but to no avail, and eventually rumors started circulating among the other kids that he went to explore the farmhouse, and whoever, or whatever, lived there skinned him and ate him alive. It sufficed to say that the little red farmhouse became off limits after that. Every society has their boogeyman, and that secluded farmer became ours. When we were in high school, one of our friends, Mark, being the brilliant teenager he was, decided that it would be genius if he took a couple of us up to go investigate the farmhouse in his busted-up pickup. This old piece of scrap metal was hardly drivable, much less street legal. It was caked from wheels to roof in rust, and whatever couldn't be duct taped on was strapped to the car with rope, and the engine leaked more oil than the Exxon Valdez. But being the brilliant teenagers we were, we naturally agreed. We told our parents we were heading into town and all piled into his pickup. I vividly remember the scene as we pulled up. The sun was hanging low in the sky and bathed the entire countryside in an eerie orange glow. And standing out there in the vast ocean of grain was that small red farmhouse. That's when Mark started daring us to go up to it. "Just grab something and come back," he would say, as proof that you did it. We suddenly lost our courage. None of us wanted to go up to that thing, much less take something from it, but Mark insisted. "How about you flip for it? Loser goes up." None of us wanted to go, but none of us wanted to back down either. So we ended up making a coin-tossing bracket, and the overall loser would have to go inside. When I noticed that Mark wasn't participating, I asked why the hell he doesn't have to. "Okay," he said, "when you get a car and you start driving everyone everywhere, then you don't have to go up to the creepy-ass murder house." Of course, I ended up losing the coin toss. "Good luck," Mark called as they sent me off into the cornfield. "Try to come back with your skin." I tried not to let on that I was scared, but in reality I was terrified beyond belief. My heart pounded as I neared the house, and I kept repeating the same mantra in my head. "It's just a house," I said to myself again and again. "It's just a house." My heart pumped faster and faster as I waded my way through the corn. My head was throbbing, my vision blurring. I couldn't imagine what horrors awaited me at the house. But as I approached the house, I noticed that it looked oddly normal. The place was in surprisingly well upkeep. The tractor had been recently cleaned, fresh cowhides dried in the sun, and the house even had a wet coat of paint on it. I puffed up my chest with a newfound courage and stormed into the house. The inside was even more lavish. The kitchen was immaculate, not a speck of dirt or grime in sight. The walls were covered in a vibrant floral wallpaper, and a set of fine china adorned the wall space above the dining table. Suddenly my pride turned to shame as I looked at the neatness of it all. I felt kind of guilty for breaking into this person's house. They probably just wanted a simple, solitary life, but our community turned them into a scapegoat for our problems. I turned around, ashamed of my actions and ready to leave, but came face to face with a figure in tattered black robes, reaching for my neck with purpose. Instincts kicked in as I threw the figure's hand away and knocked their feet out from underneath them. They hit the ground with a resounding thud, and I was about to book it out of there when I heard them groan in a familiar voice. "Geez, dude," the figure said, standing up. "You're like a ninja, man." The figure pulled back their hood, revealing Mark's face. I expected a reaction, but that was insane. I looked at him confused. "Was this whole thing just a setup for this prank?" I asked. "Yes," he he nodded proudly, grabbing one of the plates off the wall. And it was worth it. Now come on, let's go show our proof to the others. I tried to stop him, but he was already out the door and halfway to the cornfield by the time I opened my mouth. I solemnly took one last look around. "I'm sorry," I whispered under my breath before following Mark. He triumphantly returned to the group, holding the plate up high, like some kind of trophy. He would flaunt that thing around for years to come, telling over-exaggerated stories of the horrors of the farmhouse, and how we nearly escaped death when the real farmer showed up. But the horror for me wasn't some epic tale of how we nearly made it out alive with our skin intact. It was 4 simple words. After returning to the group heralded as heroes, we all piled into the back of the pickup to head home. As we were leaving down that long dirt road, I looked over the expanse of the farmer's land one last time, seeing miles upon miles of corn and that familiar red farmhouse in the distance. That's when my blood ran cold. All the color flushed from my face as I made a stark realization. There were no cows.